We have a great privilege here this morning, but I want to just give a very brief introduction. I don't know if in my remarks yesterday to you that I told you that I'm originally from Chicago. Did I mention that? No, I didn't. Okay, so I'm originally from Chicago. Okay, ever hear of it? It's in America, Middle West, you know, Illinois. Okay, just to give you a point of reference. In any event, and I found out from Mrs. Sprung that today we're having a guest speaker by the name of Rabbi Shoshan from Scottsdale, Arizona. So I said to Mrs. Sprung, I know him. And Mrs. Sprung said to me, but he's my nephew. That I didn't know, okay? But I do know him. And lo and behold, I'm in the hallway and I see Rabbi Shoshan. I said to Rabbi Shoshan, don't say anything, just take a good look at me and see if you can figure out who I am. And believe it or not, it's been over 20 years, 30 years for sure, at least that long, okay? He recognized who I was because I knew who he was right away. Didn't change at all. Anyway, it gives me great pleasure to introduce Rabbi Shoshan to you this morning.
Okay, what a beautiful sight. I'm a little bit overwhelmed, actually. I'm looking at 6th graders through 12th graders, is that so? Yes. Wow. Wow. I spent a lot of time in Miami as a child. My dad lived here when I was growing up, and I spent a lot of time here. And you'll forgive me that I didn't know your school existed for the last 20 years until a few days ago. And yes, and even speaking yesterday to one of your Moros principal, I would never have guessed the sort of elegance of the crowd that I'm looking out into and the sense I have of your amazing future. You probably hear things like that all the time, but it's not because people are trite or simplistic. It's because it's an honest assessment of what I'm seeing. And so I wouldn't be surprised if other people who come here have the same honest assessment. It's very beautiful. Bershus harabanim mechashuvim, bershus the menahalos and the moros. I want to grapple with a question that I know would bother me, has bothered me for many years, and maybe bothers you, or maybe you're not thinking about it yet. Which is that this week we start reading Parshas Truma, and in a way, this is going to sound not nice. In a way, the fun stuff of the Chumash is kind of over. Meaning, we had these great stories. Ma'aseh Bereishis, Yetzias Mitzrayim, all the Avos, Yosef, all kinds of great things. Matan Torah. Good. We have had all these narratives, all these stories. And now from Truma to Tzava, there's a little brief interlude in Kisisa and so on, but especially Sefer Vayikra, we're on to like stuff that is hard to immediately know. Sorry. That's okay. That's a preview. I was told that the bells will go off in the middle of our talk, and we should just ignore something very loud. So that was the first tremor that we're supposed to ignore. We could ask ourselves about the Mishkan. What does this have to do with my life? What do I need to know about how they built this or how they built that? And there are so many elements of the Mishkan that we could speak about. But I want to talk about why, immediately after Matan Torah, one of the first things Hashem says to us is, when you build for me a Mizbeach, there are rules. And I hope that in our time together we'll discover how the building of a Mizbeach that's mentioned in the Chumash and is at the heart of the Mishkan experience actually speaks to our lives today in 2024, no matter our age, no matter the stage we're at. It speaks directly to what our challenge might be and how we're supposed to carry it out. I have a question. Anybody can answer this. In the most simple of terms, what is a mizbeach? I don't mean the mizbeach of the Mishkan. I mean any mizbeach on which korbanot are offered. What's a mizbeach? Go ahead. It's an altar, right? But I bet you know more about mizbeach than you know about the word altar. Right? Like that's just the translation. Okay, it's a table. Anybody else? Can't hear? Okay, but what does it look like? You're talking about a ramp and a big platform. Okay, gold, or the one with the ramp actually is not made of gold, it's made of copper. Okay, yes?
It's something you use to bring offerings and sacrifices to Hashem to show that you're grateful or to recognize His greatness.
Okay, but let's go back further in history. Let's go back to when it says that Yaakov Avinu built a Mizbeach. What do you think that Mizbeach looked like? Or that Avram Avinu put Yitzchak on a Mizbeach. What did that Mizbeach look like? Go ahead.
A bunch of rocks.
Okay, but the sticks are on top of something. What did you say? A bunch of rocks. That was so perfect. Such a perfect description of Mizbeach. So the question then is, why is that desirable? In Parshas Shoftim, much later in the Chumash, it says that do not bring korbanot, which is something you covered, mentioned, on a matzeva. Don't make for me a matzeva. Don't make a matzeva. Asher sanei Hashem Elokecha, that Hashem your God hates. Hashem hates a matzeva. He only wants a mizbeach. After we come down from Har Sinai, the Torah first says almost immediately, when you build a mizbeach, don't use cut rocks, don't make stairs on it. Something central to this mizbeach. But if a matzeva is a pile of rocks, a bunch of rocks, just verbatim, a bunch of rocks. If a mizbeach is a bunch of rocks, what's a matzeva? Does anybody know the word matzeva or matzeva today, how we use it today? A tombstone, excellent. That's obviously not what it's talking about in Parshas Shoftim when it says, don't make a matzeva asher sanei Hashem Elokecha, that Hashem your God hates. It can't be it. So what is it? A mizbeach is a bunch of rocks.
An idol? Don't make an idol.
Okay, that statement is true, but what do you go say again?
Like a stone statue.
A stone statue. Okay, you're very, very close. We're getting hot. That's not what matzeva means there, even though that is prohibited. If you go back earlier in the Chumash, you find that the Avos made matzeva to serve Hashem. So what happens on a matzeva as it's used in this pasuk? It was answered before correctly, actually. The same thing as a mizbeach. Sacrifices. So then what's the difference between a matzeva and a mizbeach? Tell me your name there in the corner. The one who said bunch of rocks. Okay, listen, Sarah Malka. You have no idea how scientific your answer was. You thought it was just, bunch of rocks. Okay? But you know what the difference between a matzeva and a mizbeach is? That a mizbeach is a bunch of rocks, and a matzeva is one rock. That's exactly the difference. This is what Rav Hirsch says. That the difference between matzeva and mizbeach is that there's one rock versus a bunch of rocks. Now, I'm going to ask you, follow me here, because this has to do with our lives in a meaningful way. It says in the Chumash, do not make a rock to offer korbanos on. Asher sanei Hashem Elokecha, that Hashem your God hates. But rather, that's the larger earthquake I was expecting. But rather, only offer korbanos to me on a bunch of rocks, not on one rock. Who cares? Why should Hashem care? And again, in Parshas Truma, we begin the process of building for Hashem according to His commandments. At the center of it is the Mizbeach that was described before, Nechoshes, Zahav, and so on and so forth, ramps and so on. But we come down from Har Sinai and Hashem says, build me a Mizbeach. When you build a Mizbeach, these are the rules. And earlier on, the Avos made Matzeva, one rock. So what's the difference between one rock and many rocks? Go ahead. Louder, please. Okay, of course that's true, right? Do you want to continue?
I think
Yeah, but that's not likely why Hashem hates the one rock, right? It could be true. Go ahead.
More things can fit on the many rocks. Like a bigger item could fit on the many rocks.
Okay, but here's the thing. There's no mention of the size of the rocks. So even one huge rock is undesirable, and a bunch of small rocks is more desirable. I know it sounds strange. It should sound strange. It's strange. Go ahead.
Effort you put into making those two?
Explain yourself more.
If you're making MISHKAN, you're putting a lot of effort because one rock and then another rock and another rock, and piling it up, and you're making more effort in towards like just saying a big rock and just
What's your name?
Share.
Shira. Sheer. Got it. You know why I didn't hear the sheer part? Because somebody else who's very proud of you said your name also at the same time, so I got confused. Okay, listen, Sheer. You're onto something huge. Huge. You see, a matzeva is one rock. Who put in the effort for the one rock? Only Hashem. Only Hashem did anything for one rock. But the Mizbeach is many rocks, regardless of size, big or small. The collection of these rocks, the building of these rocks, in fact, there's different verbs in the Chumash for making a matzeva and making a Mizbeach. The verb for making a matzeva is vayatsev. He established, it's from the word matzeva. He established a matzeva. But the word for making a Mizbeach is vayiven. He built it. There's something very strange by Yaakov Avinu, actually, after he gets the mitzvah Gid Anasha, it says, Vayatsev Sham Mizbeach. That's weird. He established, which sounds like it's just one thing, a Mizbeach, which is many things. Very strange. But Rav Hirsch explains that the difference between a matzeva and a Mizbeach is that one is one rock and one is many. And here's the critical part. The one that is one rock represents a most awesome thing, which is what Hashem has done in this world. But the Mizbeach represents how we who want to serve Hashem, what we're doing. What do you say?
Come together.
Well, that's true also, but even if it's what I'm doing, my hands. Okay, I live in a very beautiful place. You also live in a very beautiful place. But where I live, in Arizona, there's a more famous, singular, beautiful place than where you live. Okay, anybody know the state nickname of the state of Arizona? Do you know the state nickname of the state of Florida?
The Sunshine State.
Thank you very much. Okay, good. Just to get us regulated into it. The state nickname of the state of Arizona is the Grand Canyon State. The Grand Canyon is a big hole in the ground. That's what it is, right? Anybody here been to the Grand Canyon? What's your name? Say it louder. Ayala. That's my wife's name. The reason I said that is because I know that my aunt, your Rebbitzin principal, was thinking the same thing when you said the name. Because really, she's my aunt because she's my wife's aunt. Okay, you've been there. Is it beautiful? It's amazing, right? It's unbelievable. And a lot of people have tremendous hisurus and a major awakening in their lives when they see something amazing. The sunset, the coast, the water, the Grand Canyon. And when they see these things, for many, many people, it stops right there. It's just wow. Look at the work of God. Wow. It's amazing. Before the Torah was given, the most beautiful thing you could find in the world was something that Hashem made. Something like the Grand Canyon, something like a beautiful sunset, something like the ocean. Most beautiful thing. How can I know God? How can I know the genius of Hashem? There's amazing things like the human eye is such impossibility that it can happen by accident. The genius of Hashem. The instant recall that we have if we see something's about to hit us and we pick up our hand. Unbelievable. And so many things that we can look at Hashem's world and say, wow, Ma'rabu ma'asech Hashem. Look at how amazing is God. Look at what's going on here. It's amazing. But a lot of people just stop right there. They don't ask themselves, what am I supposed to do about it? They're just amazed. Comes along the giving of the Torah at Har Sinai. When mankind is given instructions that becomes even more beautiful than something natural. Something natural is amazing, but the most beautiful thing that exists in the whole world is a life, a communal life, a national life, a history of what happens when people keep the Torah. If you see something, Hashem gave us something thousands of years ago and said, do this, and it will yield amazing things. You know, everybody in this room should know that we're in a terrible war, but we're not like our enemies. Where does it come from that we're not like our enemies, that Klal Yisrael will heal the injured of their enemy, will treat people with respect, that it continues to build our mishpachas and believe in the future and loves life? All of this is Chayei Torah. It's all because Hashem commanded us. And He taught us the proper way. You have such a privilege. You're here in a school where they're teaching you the proper way. The genius of Shabbos in a world where nobody can ever put down their phone, where nobody can ever get a moment of relaxation, a moment of thinking, a moment of bonding with their family. Never has a life of Torah been more genius than now. What a zchus we have that we live that way. What a privilege it is. You know, somebody in my shul this past Shabbos came over and it was an amazing thing. He struggles. Came from a big Jewish community, moved to Arizona not long ago. And he said to me, I was honored that he said this to me. He says, I was like ready to give up, and I came to shul this morning, and you really love being Jewish, don't you? I got to find out, why do you love it so much? He's right, I do. A life of Torah and mitzvahs gives us so much, and it's the most beautiful thing. If you meet a tzaddik, you meet a Talmud Chacham, you meet somebody who represents the genius of Hashem, of what a life can be because somebody follows the rules. I think you underestimate how beautiful you are. You walk through the world, you go to an airport, you're different than the other people. You carry yourself with dignity, a dignity that's hardly found today. Life of Torah is the most beautiful thing in the world. And here's the kicker. Let's take it back to what we started with. Hashem does not want us to stop our appreciation of Him with a wow moment that is typified by the Matseva. There's a rock. It's amazing. Look at how beautiful it is. Look at what He made. It's amazing. A lot of people are like that. They go to Sedona, Arizona, or to someplace beautiful else. They go, wow, amazing. I love it. It's amazing. It's so great. I can see God. And they just go to their phone and they put it up on some social media place where they say, Ma'rabu ma'asech Hashem. It's like a very religious experience. Look at God. Wow, amazing. What are you going to do about it? Hashem says, I want you to take my world that I gave you that's so beautiful, and I want you to do the work. I want you to be Bona Mizbeach. I want you to build in your life by following the rules. I want you to build more beauty than is available in the natural beauty. Once there's a Torah that was given at Har Sinai, it's so much more beautiful what can be seen. The most beautiful thing is Torah life, is Jewish life, is the harmony of Jewish community. There's an organization in New York called Renewal. Renewal matches people who need a kidney because they suffer from kidney disease with a potential donor. You got to be crazy to give a kidney to somebody you're not related to. But in America, you typically have to wait 7 years to get a kidney if you're waiting for somebody, you're just a regular American. Because of Renewal in the Jewish community, you typically have to wait between 3 and 7 months. Because we're brothers. It was yielded by the Torah. We have something that's so much more beautiful. Now I want to tell you something crazy. I know a little bit about this organization. Duke University, which is one of the best hospitals in America, called renewal, come down to Durham, North Carolina. We want to meet with you. And they said, we want to learn about your project so we can duplicate it. You know, if Jews will do this for each other, they'll give kidneys to one another, then probably firefighters will, and probably school teachers will, and probably veterans will, and probably other religions will. It hasn't worked. Because it's only the Torah that we have that has taught us that every one of us is a brother and sister, that we're one mishpacha, that look at the beauty of what it means to be Jewish. Look at who the Jewish people are. So far it hasn't worked. That's 7, 8 years ago they called them down there, so I haven't been able to duplicate it. Because they don't naturally feel, this guy I don't know is my sister, this is my brother. But that's who we are. So the Mizbeach represents a bunch of rocks. It means that your effort, what you build, is the most beautiful thing in the world. And Hashem does not want you to stop and admire the sunset. He doesn't want you to stop and admire the circulatory system or the amazing reality that the planets, their relative distance and relative mass from one another, make a perfect world. That means that there's no explosion and no implosion. If they'd be further away from each other, or they'd weigh more or weigh less, or be closer, the whole system wouldn't work. He's amazing. Hashem is amazing. But the most amazing thing he has in the world is the harmony and beauty of life that comes from what we will build out of it. So now we're going to embark on this learning. Truma, Titzaveh, Vayakel and Pekude, and the Korbanos. And we have to look into the Chumash and say, what's it trying to teach me? We have to look and see what's going on. But the basic answer is Hashem is saying, I brought you to Har Sinai so that you would build. I made you my partner. I don't want you to admire natural things as the top of the mountain. No, the very top is what you do when you partner with me and you build yourself into something special. And everybody in this room has that. Everybody in this room has the kalim, the utensils, the talents to take your natural talents and Hashem's instructions that he gave us at Har Sinai and the great instruction you get from your teachers to build something beautiful, to build a family and a life that will be the admiration of your neighbors, to be more beautiful than a sunset, more significant than the Grand Canyon. Because when the world sees what you have built, that you've brought not just a rock, but you've done the work to bring the rocks together, there's nothing more beautiful in the whole world. And that's what Hashem wants from us. So now, it's not so simple, but our job is to go out and do it. To go out and build. Build with the utensils that you have. Use your natural talents. Find your music inside of you. And give the world the gift of that music under the direction of Hashem's rules. Nothing in the world is more beautiful than that. Do we have time for a question or two? Now the question is, do we have a question or two?
I do it for the end.
Well, I can't hear her say again.
I do, but I'm going to ask you at the end.
This is the end.
So you want to say privately, maybe?
Yeah.
Oh, after. Okay, no problem. Sure.
You're obviously very clear, so you don't
Yes, I guess so.
any room for doubt.
Okay, my friends. This is beautiful. I hope you'll invite me back sometime so I can see the continuation of the beauty. Thank you.